Hello everyone, I hope you're well. My name is Tim Sheehan, editor of the Brewers Journal, and it's a pleasure to be here today, joined by John Driebergen, the co-founder of Great Beyond Brewing. How are you?
Good, yeah, good.
Excellent, and as you can, you can't see, but you can hear, we are underneath the London Overground, and it is, where would that line take us to and from?
So we're about, I don't know, like a 90-second walk from the Hoxton Overground station, and so this is I guess it's like the New Cross to Dalston,
Okay.
sort of, or some of them go to Highbury and Islington, some of them go down to, where do they go? Clapham Junction, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's that sort of stretch of overground, and we're in Hoxton in East London, near Columbia Road Flower Market, near Hoxton Station.
I think we'll talk about location in a bit.
Yeah.
Because it's a huge...
Big part of
Well, it is part, and it's
who we
obviously...
are.
Yeah, and it was obviously a conscious decision.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
happened
right.
by accident. But I think for anyone visiting London for the first time, London Overground is like a daunting maze, but when it works, it's awesome at the same time. So, so John, we've known each other for a fair few years now, I guess.
Yeah, maybe coming up for 9 years.
I think I remember hanging out with you around CBC in Washington one year. There was
my
some
God.
sort of amazing soiree in the Natural History Museum or something like that, and it was like it's good times.
Lobster mac and cheese, if I
Hell
recall
yes,
correctly.
yeah. It feels like the heady days pre-COVID and
Yeah.
stuff. It's like, but they were good times. But
Flying high.
yeah. But and that was obviously when you were at 4Pure.
Correct,
But
yeah.
more importantly, now you have this fantastic, and I think we could still call it a young brewery.
Definitely young brewery, yeah. We sort of started properly trading, I guess, in January 23. So we're the 1st of August 24 now, so it's been about 18 months. That's a terrible time to start a brewery, because obviously cost of living crisis, January in general.
Yeah.
And we did sort of like a little soft launch from November of 22 through to Christmas, but yeah, so we're about 18 months in, and things are coming along. We're entering like a kind of rhythm, when you kind of get going. At first, everything is really intense and big, and then over time, you kind of get used to it.
I feel like when you did open, like at that time, I did like genuinely feel really sorry for you guys, because I knew you put in so much groundwork, and it felt like that imperfect storm, I guess, because there was so many negative variables at play that could have, there must have been times where you're thinking, have we made a mistake here?
Yeah, so we had a bit of bad luck, really, I guess. Well, maybe it was bad planning or inexperience on our part, but basically we were all on course to open in sort of late August, early September of that year, sort of coming out of COVID, and then a variety of things went wrong all at once. So we had our initial premises license rejected. That was a mix of sort of our inexperience and just a bit of bad luck. So we hired a consultant to help us do that, but this luxury property developer next door leaned in hard on the council, spent a lot of money, scared a lot of people, and our license application was rejected. We thought the risk of that happening was very low, but the delay was huge, because that's around the time that the famous Liz Truss budget dropped. That's around the time that the Queen died, and the Queen dying even had an impact, because we were waiting on council decisions, and when the country's in mourning, everything stops for 3 weeks. But you know what doesn't stop? Your rent check. That's still due on the same day every month. So we ended up opening very late and way over budget because of legal fees and delays. And then, so we ended up launching in the middle of cost of living crisis in dry January.
But I feel like I remember you...
With no money in the bank.
But I remember hearing the story of the developer. It really backfired on them, because it felt like you kind of really garnered a lot of support. Did they not realize as well that, so much in research has gone on over the years about how breweries can raise up an area and become a more desirable place to be?
Yeah, I tried reasoning with him, and it just didn't go very far. But I think that he now probably, I'm guessing, will have realized that he was mistaken about. I think he had a lot of vacancies still in his development, and I guess coming out of COVID, he just saw us as a risk. I've also spoken to a few other local business people who've been around for a long time, and apparently he had his eyes on these 3 arches. I think last time we spoke about this, I didn't know that yet, but I think he kind of wanted to turn these 3 arches into like a showroom or something.
Okay.
And anyway,
Yeah.
that's all behind us now. But it's had a lasting impact, right? So we launched at the wrong time to generate serious momentum, and we just didn't have any money.
And but a lot of
And
blood,
you're-
sweat, and tears, and I can speak from experience of seeing you guys here multiple times that you're putting in the work. So it's your co-founders Ollie Parker and Nick Walsh.
Correct.
Both met at Fort Pure.
Legends. Yeah. So
Both legends. Yeah.
Ollie is a fantastically talented, very technical brewer,
Mm-hmm.
very hard worker, very creative, intelligent. Nick is just a excellent engineer. He can fix anything that breaks. He can optimize anything that needs optimizing. And again, super hardworking and really sound business brain on his head too. He comes from a family of kind of entrepreneurs and small business owners, and you can really see that.
Yeah.
So the three of us are really good sort of complementary. We're obviously all three of us are brewers in this basically, and we're doing this thing. We're learning as we go.
How did those early discussions go? Like when you were back at the old employer, as it were,
Well, it was great because there were a lot of things that we could see about. Okay, well, this is something that really worked well at Fort Pure, whether it was especially in the independent days, when the high flying days of craft beer, and these are things that don't work well here, are things that clearly were big mistakes, whether it was Lion or before Lion, and also just from our point of view, during COVID. We all had a lot more time for quiet reflection, right? And so for us, it was like, well, we have this great model, or all these things that are like, we know this is how to do things in a really professional way to grow a business, and these are things that just are bad and stupid, and things that we don't align with our values or with our, and so we kind of had a great sort of set of experiences to know exactly what to do and what not to do.
Sure. But I feel like from the beginning, the focus, one of the things that you did definitely want to do was a focus on great core beers, of which we are having
The lager.
fantastic lager here now.
It's a lovely unfiltered Helles.
And as you'll see, there are 5 fantastic other beers in front of us, which we're going to touch upon at several points in this conversation. But so it seems to me that from early doors, having a great sessionable hop forward beer and a lager, that seemed to be.
Yep. Those were the two sort of initials, and then over time we've grown our core range a little bit, just based on realizing, oh, this beer is great, the feedback's on it is really good, we know we can reproduce this consistently, and so we've identified little gaps, and so we've slowly grown our core range. But having a core range is I think quite important. We do a lot of sort of one-offs, and we experiment too, but like fundamentally, if you want to build something kind of sustainable, I think having a core range is quite important.
Yeah, I think we've moved on from the whole customer, what's new, give me what's new, especially like on the trade, people running bars and pubs. But I think the combination of having the reliable core and what's new is really complementary. And that's what, when Camden had all the taps and then Camden sold, a lot of pubs started stocking Fort Pure. There was a like-for-like replacement.
That's true. I remember that
of the lager and the pale, the IPA. People are like, okay, no, we can't stock Camden anymore. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So people do want the reliable, the hop forward beer and the lager. So it feels like you have that,
Yeah, Hoxton Lager, Hoxton Fresh. So the lager is an unfiltered Helles. It's very simple. A bit of German Pilsner malt, a bit of Satz hops. We don't have a very traditional German mashing program or anything. It's a single infusion mash, and then we just ferment it nice and cool, and we just give it plenty of cold time. And then obviously, because we have serving tanks here in our tap room, the beer continues to age, mature, improve, refine. While it tastes really nice when it's young, and then as it ages, it continues to sort of slowly improve. Typically, it's about 4 weeks of when we transfer it, and then it's usually gone 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
So if you're a customer and you order a keg of it, you'll get a beer that's typically between 4 and 6 weeks old.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll make sure the viewers
in
see
terms of
this,
aging, cold aging.
Beautiful tanks there, but it's a beer that in its relatively short life has evolved quite a lot in terms of its profile.
We first made it with all English ingredients, and it was nice. It was a nice beer. It was, but we kind of just realized that what we needed to do was to continue to experiment, and then in each iteration, we changed like one thing. And then, 9 months later, we were using a German malt and a Czech hop. Not that we couldn't have eventually cracked it, but we felt a bit of time pressure to make the best possible lager. And, so now we're at the stage where we're doing real micro adjustments. But back then, we were willing to change the base malt, and change the hop profile.
I mean, I've been fortunate to try it then and now, and I think they're both great expressions, and but this is, especially on a day like today, which feels like it's cooling down a little, but it's been hot, so this is an absolute perfect beverage.
It's very drinkable.
Yes, it is very drinkable.
4%.
It is very drinkable. And then Hoxton Fresh is the other sort of OG, I guess.
Yes, that's right.
Again, fortunate to have it, pre-opening night.
Have you had it today?
I have not had it today yet.
We'll have it after.
Fantastic. But is this another beer? Have you dialed it in, changed it over time?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Less so than the lager, because I think we didn't. I don't want to say we nailed it first time, but we were definitely like, when you're like, I'm a terrible darts player, but when you're like playing darts and you throw your first dart and you're aiming for the triple 20, right? That's what you're supposed to aim for. Yeah, so you aim for that, and you're in the zone. You throw the second one, and it's a little bit closer. You're the third one, and you nail it.
Yeah.
Right. And then
you hit one at that point.
And then you just keep trying to repeat that with this muscle memory.
Yeah.
And with the fresh, it was a bit like that. We were very close the first time, and then we've just been trying to just refine the process, the technique, to sort of just execute it the same way every single time. We've been on a bit more of a journey with that beer in the last year or so. We were finding that we were focusing more on mouthfeel and the colloidal stability and things like that, and we were doing experimenting and forced aging stuff, and so we're trying to make sure to improve that, and to the draft versus the can, we were noticing some differences in terms of the stability. So that's something that we've been but that's kind of much more detail level, less recipe level. But it's a nice hoppy hazy.
But it's
light.
the definition of session, 4% as well.
Yeah, super drinkable 4%.
So, I mean, these beers, I imagine, are the main volume pushers, I guess, here in the trade.
In the taproom,
Yeah.
these are the two best sellers. Yeah, although we've quite a range. We do a lot of hoppy beers, a lot of sour beers. Obviously, the lager is like a core flagship. We have a great oatmeal porter called Escape Artist that obviously is a little bit slower moving in the summer, but it does really well for us all year round.
But that's somewhat established as well now.
Yeah, Escape Artist. Yeah. And then in the trade, though, the lager is doing surprisingly well. So the lager and the fresh are our two best sellers to the trade as well. But the fresh outsells the lager in here, but the lager outsells the fresh to the trade. And that might say something about where the craft beer market is heading. I'm not sure, but it might say something about our lager just representing a good sort of combination of value and flavor and local. People love the local thing.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the health of the lager, UK lager brewing scene is really good at the moment.
I agree with that.
There's so many. I feel like
many good lagers.
Even
from breweries that don't specialize in them.
No, exactly. There's so many breweries that I'm not even going to start to sort of name check them, but we're doing.
I was tempted to.
Yeah, and I realized it's a rabbit
hole. The list is so long.
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on who's making great lagers. But as we touched upon Nick and Ollie as well. A fantastic trio here. But being in London, great location you've got. It's not all glamour though, is it? It's you're putting in a lot of hours. You talk about dialing in these beers, which is great, and the proof is there for everyone to see and taste. But the day doesn't end a lot of the time with the brewing side, does it? You're doing taproom, you're doing social media.
Yeah, bar shifts, social media, boring tax stuff, fun work with our designers and creative people. Looking for brand partnerships, all sorts of stuff. But that's one of the great things about what we're doing now, is that we're it's this great opportunity to learn. And we're building something. It's a long-term project, and the brewing side is something that we already kind of know quite a lot about.
Yeah.
Although we learn there every day too, but it's just talking to customers is great. Graphic design is really interesting, and that's something that we're learning about.
Yeah, but I feel like you said, you've got the
when you don't have the budget, you have to do it yourself.
But you've got the buy-in, like the collective buy-in that if you're doing these long shifts and then doing
the bar shift
after.
after.
It's for the greater good, I guess.
Yep. Yep.
So another fantastic beer, the Raspberry Incident, beautifully flavorful, 4.5% raspberry sour. Great beer, but also great backstory as well, I believe.
Yeah, so this is sort of around that same time that we were going to open for the first time, and we sort of knew we wanted to have the lager and the fresh, and we made an IPA, a great IPA actually, called Tiny Dancer, and then we wanted to make a raspberry sour. So it's quite a simple beer. It's all about the quality of the ingredients and the sort of controlled process that we have to make it. And so basically we do a little lactic fermentation in stainless. We don't kettle sour it or anything like that. And then we introduce Saccharomyces. So we do a few different strains of both. So you could sort of call it a mixed ferm. It's an unpasteurized stainless steel sour beer using whole fruit, whole raspberries.
Yeah.
And that is why the depth of flavor is so strong. You have this lovely, just deep raspberry flavor, and it's very bright. It's very refreshing. It's almost like a raspberry beer rosé, right? With a little pink foam. And this is one we kind of nailed the first time we made it. And the reason it's called the Raspberry Incident, though, is because we ordered the fruit freshly frozen from a farm. So what they do is they harvest all the fruit, and then within, I don't know, X number of minutes, they flash freeze the fruit. So that means that it's whole fruit that is the freshest possible fruit and available year-round.
Yeah.
They deliver it on a pallet, in boxes, and then within the boxes, the fruit itself is in like these little plastic bags, basically, these liners. And I guess in shipping or something, the pallet must have been bumped into by a forklift truck or knocked over or something. And then the pallet got reassembled, but some of the boxes were upside down. So, and we didn't catch this. And we needed to defrost the fruit before we could add it to the tank. So we had the beer in the cold store, slowly defrosting over the weekend. And we came back in on Monday, and the raspberries, most of them had melted, and seeping out from under the cold room door was like all this puddle of bright red raspberry juice. It looked like blood.
Yeah.
But
delicious.
Delicious. It smelled amazing.
Yeah.
And you slide the cold room door open, and then the whole thing, it's a flood of raspberry juice.
Sheesh.
And it was horrible. We filmed it. We made our first sort of, by our standards, viral Instagram reel. And we also had a great beer name, the Raspberry Incident.
Yeah.
And
did it have a name prior to that?
no, it didn't.
Okay, there we go.
And so we had to reorder. This is all before we had made a single. We hadn't even poured our first pint. We had our legal fees like up to our eyeballs. We weren't sure we were going to make it. And the last thing we wanted to do was have thousands of pounds worth of fresh raspberries that we'd spent money on just go in the bin. But there we were. But ultimately, it led to this great sort of concept behind with it, and a beer name and a story, and and the artwork is even inspired by it, because you have the raspberry character.
It's awesome. And it's great when everything ties in. There's a great beer there, there's a great name, the artwork, and there's it's a story. So.
Yeah, and the main thing though is so this one as well, and this one, the way we do our sour beers is kind of this sort of tight process. We have a new one that's a little bit more loose and like a little bit more wild, coming out soon. But these three are all using that kind of same technique of stainless steel, kind of like mixed firm, but like in a really controlled way, with whole real fruit.
Yeah.
Whole real ingredients.
Did you anticipate that sort of like growing lovely family of sour beers when you started?
No, but we kind of knew that we needed, like we said before, like the sessionable lager and the sessionable hoppy beer.
Yeah.
We always thought that we'd sort of experiment and rotate around our IPAs and other hoppy beers, but we wanted to make a lot of sour beer. And we wanted to make sour beers with integrity. So like I love a lot of the sort of, I love a Mars bar sour just as much as the next guy. But we wanted to make sour beers that were using like fresh, real, whole ingredients. And we wanted sort of an elegance, like a refined elegance in our sours.
Yeah.
And again, this is not a critique. Rather, it's like we want, as a point of difference, we wanted to make like these kind of really just flavor, like clean articulated flavor sort of kinds of sours.
It would be really boring if everyone made and liked the same stuff.
We don't want to. We also just don't want to be copying what other people.
Yeah. It's a variety of the spice of life, and that is still one of, I think, the finest qualities and calling cards of like the craft beer industry. Wherever you go in the globe, it's that everyone's got their own take on something, and that doesn't mean that you're doing one thing that's a disrespect to other people. That's life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Big Yeti here as well.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean the description. Monstrous hop carrot.
Have you tried it yet?
I'll
have to.
Yeah, it's
force you to have some after this.
There's no force needed. It seems like as you said, a homage.
It is
to the classic Northwest.
Yeah. So the issue is like I love that hop growing region, as many people do, but the West Coast in the UK, West Coast IPAs are often synonymous with like Californian style, which are sort of lovely, lean, more sort of pungently bitter sort of IPAs. Whereas the West Coast isn't just California. In the Pacific Northwest, where most of these hops are actually grown, the IPAs are quite a lot more balanced. And balanced doesn't mean sweet, but they mean just everything from the sort of the mouthfeel to the sort of complexity. There's a little bit more going on.
Yeah.
And the hop character tends to be kind of more piney and resinous, rather than that kind of maybe more citrusy sort of character.
It's my sort of beer.
And it is a West Coast double IPA, but it's a West Coast double IPA that I would associate with sort of Seattle and Oregon and sort of Portland and kind of around there. The double IPAs that I would drink around there rather than anything you'd have in California. So it's got a little bit more color to it, but not sweetness, and it's got this lovely piney resinous hop character, and it's so balanced.
So when it comes to these
8%, you would never know.
I mean, it's a sign of good brewing, hiding the ABV. When it comes to new beers, is it like I assume it's a democratic process? You kind of all
Pretty much.
input.
Yeah. They're kind of just, they're all
Has anything been
collaborations.
nixed? When people suggest something.
There have been things that where one or two of us want to do it, but we just end up not doing it because there isn't enough of a consensus, or one of us we don't have like a veto process, but like maybe we do informally, I guess.
Yeah, I think it needs to, everyone, especially when you're a small, lean team, it needs to work for everyone, doesn't it? So, and we touched upon it at the beginning, and as you can hear, we're in London. London obviously is you're Dutch born.
Correct.
Grew up in the States.
Correct. And Switzerland.
Nick is.
And Switzerland as well.
And Switzerland.
Yeah, I moved a lot when I was growing up.
Fantastic. So when did you move to the UK?
I moved here in 2011, early 2011.
And Nick came to England?
Nick, I want to say 6 years ago.
Okay. And Ollie is a native.
A native Londoner, yeah.
There we go. But London has collectively, for Great Beyond, become your home.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I've been here for 13 and a half years. And this is the longest I've lived anywhere in my life. And obviously my life is here, my career, my friends, and even my brother lives here too, so some of my family. And Ollie is from he's from Bermondsey actually. So Ollie is like and Nick, sort of like me, he moved here more recently than I did, but I think a lot of people move to London and end up just staying. And there's a good reason for that.
Yeah, I feel like I've born and bred here for the last 40 years, and it's changed a lot. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. I feel like the last couple of years hasn't been its best version of itself, but I feel like now when it's good, it's really good.
Yeah.
And I feel like the sun's shining and everyone's happy, and you got the Euros on and Glastonbury's on the TV and all these other festivals and stuff, and everyone's out having a good time. And Pride, Central London the other week was just, there's like nowhere better. I think. But I feel like you've developed, you've made this your home, but also in quite a short period of time, you've developed a really strong, again, through the hard work and long hours and blood, sweat and tears, a real good community.
100%. And that's that's the most rewarding part, is that we have so many regulars and locals who are in here all the time, and the beer is getting more of a following in East London and London in general, and it's step by step, day by day, week by week. But the fact that we have so many people who love coming to our tap room, trying our new beers, seeing how we're always improving things, and people love it, and that makes me so happy.
Yeah. Well, it's vindication of, it's, as I said earlier, it's not happened by accident,
That's, it's happened because of a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it's the duck. It's calm, and underneath it's, so,
that's right.
It's sometimes people take for granted, what goes on behind the scenes, I guess. So,
well, and onwards and upwards. I think we as a newish sort of business, there's so much room for growth.
Great Beyond launched in a challenging time. You put in a lot of hours making fantastic beers, you and the team. What's the plan going forward? I mean, stability, I imagine, is first and foremost, but is there any other sort of exciting plans or ideas or plans for growth that you can share?
Yeah, so going into the end of summer now and into the fall, that's kind of our busy season in the tap room. So this venue does all right in the summer, but we get like really busy between sort of September and May. And so we'll just sort of do our best to sort of keep up with our trade sales growth whilst keeping the tap room customers sort of happy with fresh, new, interesting beers all the time. And basically we want to continue on that trajectory going into next year, so continuing to grow our trade sales. We don't have a salesperson. We don't really have any marketing spend to speak of.
And this only dips in the summer because you don't really have the outdoor
Yeah,
space.
we don't have outdoor seating. Yeah, so
so
the Euros were great for us and we can do little things to like get people in here in the summer. We're not dead, but it's just more difficult when everyone wants to be in a beer garden on a balcony or in the park. But that's fine. We know that. And our trade sales are higher in the summer because other venues are busier. So it's sort of counter-cyclical.
Yeah.
But then going into next year, we want to continue to have that momentum with the trade sales and the venue. I think there's a lot more potential for both. And, we'll probably look at I'd love to get a second venue at some point in the next year or two. And, we'll take it one step at a time. But that's sort of the next sort of thing is like, well, obviously we then want something that does have the opportunity for year-round outdoor seating in a second venue.
Fantastic.
Because this place doesn't have that, and that's like more events and just more interesting as we grow and we're stay more long-term projects are more feasible for us. So mixed fermentation stuff and just kind of challenging ourselves more.
Yeah, and with that, potentially the other venue, would that be in London as well?
Probably.
See what happens.
Probably, but not necessarily.
So until then, though, for people that want to visit, what are the best times and days that you're open for?
Yeah, so we're
thirsty patrons.
So we're open Tuesday through Sunday.
Okay.
On weekdays we open at 4 and close at 11. On weekends we open at 1 and we close at 11 on Saturday, and we close at 9 on Sunday. And we're near the overground station in Hoxton. We're walkable from Shoreditch. We are near Old Street. We're near Liverpool Street.
Near everything.
Yeah.
And for people, can you order beer online?
Yes.
What's the URL, if you will?
www.greatbeyond.beer.
Superb. Well, it's an empty glass, but we'll cheers anyway.
We can fix that. We can
yeah,
fix
we'll
that.
fix that. John, thank you for your time.
Cheers, buddy.
Appreciate that.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Likewise. Thanks to John today at Great Beyond Brewing. It's been fantastic to spend some time with John and learn a bit more about the brewery. And as he said, you've got the dates, the times, and if you can't make it, the website to grab some of their beer. See you next time.